Hello, Sean.
You're
just in time. The kettle is on.
Radio.
Come on in.
Let's get on.
Recently, I caught up with friend and fellow YouTuber Richard Vobes, and I wanted to understand more about some of the topics he's been discussing on his channel.
I've seen a lot of your videos where you're talking about 15-minute cities. Now, all I know is what the headlines are, which is you can go down to your high street, go down to the butchers, the bakers, the candlestick makers. So isn't that a good thing? What part of this am I not getting?
Well, 15-minute city, I think the way it's been sold is like going back to, say, a 1900s village, in which, as you say, you can go to all these wonderful places, the houses are all nearby, you don't need to get into your car really because everything's within walking distance. However, the reality of most cities or large towns is things are spread out all over the place and people live quite far out and they need to get in. The thing about these cities or this plan is the idea is to try and prevent traffic from being in the centre. So instead of, say, concentrating with these sort of out-of-town car parks that you do park and ride, they want to prevent you from doing this by penalising you if you go over a certain number of trips. So I think they've said 100 in a year. So if you go to work, a year has more than 100 days in it. And so if you go to work and back and you do that X many times, you're going to get penalised if you go over the 100th time.
Right.
So it's a penal system.
So is the idea then that you would get out of your car and cycle there?
The encouraging thing is to try and get people to... It's all based on climate change.
Right.
Because the planet is going to blow up. It's going to get too hot for everybody. And this is the science that we've all been told to follow. You can't challenge that, for one thing. And so they want to get rid of diesel and petrol, and they're trying to encourage people to have electric cars.
Well, I understand that when I was in school, we were taught that the planet was getting colder. This is in the 80s.
Yes.
And now it's getting hotter. So I have noticed, and I'll try and get this right, it's global warming during the winter, but climate change during the summer.
Is that what they... Yes.
I think it's something like that.
I mean, it's man-made, that's the thing. This is the point that they're trying to get at. It's all our fault.
But I can't see that... I understand the planet is going through a change.
Right. Which is a natural thing.
Yes, it's part of the natural thing. But has man really done enough? You know, have they speed? That's the bit I can't get my head around.
Right. And well, this is the thing that we're not really allowed to question. Is it down to man? We're told that the science is settled. Since when was science ever settled?
And also, I've seen things on the news that we've got until 1998.
1998, that's been and gone.
No, but then 1999 comes.
Oh, right.
And then we've got till 2004.
Oh, yes.
So I've lost interest because the goalposts, if we're going to blow up, well, let's just blow up.
Yes.
But the goalposts, so there was somebody on this week where it's 2032 now.
Yes.
And
it's always into the future. Oh, sorry, we got it wrong. It's now going to be in 10 years' time. It's always within our relatively immediate future, but not actually tomorrow. And then when those, as you say, those points reach, they stretch it out again and it's going to be... But the point is, it doesn't really matter whether you agree with it or not, you're getting it. So the councils up and down the country have all got this brief, and it's coming from a think tank called the World Economic Forum, who meet in Davos. All these billionaires, they are, they're not, nobody votes for them, nobody, they don't pay any tax, they have decided this is what's happening. They have got people from all the governments around the world involved on their brief, and so this is a top-down global system that they want to push into these 15-minute cities so that they can contain the people of the world in very small communities.
So when I lived in Wales, we could never understand why England was telling us what to do. So we voted for our own government. So
And look where that's got you.
So I do get that bit about people controlling who you not necessarily have put into charge. So is the idea is if there's everything you want within 15 minutes, you then don't have to drive.
That, yes.
Which then helps bring down.
Well, but not everybody has everything they want within those 15 minutes. You might work in a different town. You have to cross the town. Maybe that's the quickest way to get out.
You might want to buy a sofa.
Or you want to buy a sofa. Or
how do you get that home?
And I mean, all of this is really a move to get rid of motor cars completely, because they think that you can carry on just being on a bike and walk. But it's more nefarious than this, because if they wanted you to have a 15-minute city, you would think that they would say, OK, let's incentivise people to work in the same place, to live in the same place. We'll put in all the amenities, the surgeries, the creches, the nurseries, more schools, more hospitals, better police force, all of those things. But what they're doing is their approach is, we'll put in cameras that will capture the number plate from people, and if you go too many times, we'll penalise you with an infringement cost.
Right.
And so instead of incentivising you, they're beating you with a stick to say, you're having this and this is how it's operational. The real thing is, have they asked you? Have they asked, does the government, who is our servants, we pay for them, it's out of our taxes, has the population said, do you know what, wouldn't it be great to have a 15-minute city where we're all in this one area? This is what we want. Nobody's asked us.
They are in office, they're not in power.
Yes. But it's not in their manifesto. When you vote, so we've got a chance coming up in the next election to say, actually, here is a party. Will they do what we want? Now, we know it's either going to be Tories, unlikely, and it's probably going to be Labour and somebody else, because it's most likely to be a hung parliament now, which means it'll be one of the other parties. And people have the chance to say, we don't want this, and they need to, if they don't want it, they need to say it. But we've seen from the history of the way governments work, it doesn't matter what you want, because the manifesto will change, because undoubtedly there'll be another emergency powers come into play, and what they promised, it doesn't matter. And we've seen that with the Tory party over the last 5 years. So people will end up with this system, but it's more nefarious than it sounds, because it's to do with biometrics. They want to know where you are. We've got digital IDs coming in. We'll have the central bank digital currency, which means it's going to be taking away your money and command of your money.
But people would say the digital ID isn't that great, because I could just go down, I could buy things, and I just have to show the one card rather than showing all the cards. But the problem is, what if somebody gets into power who wants to use it in a different way?
Absolutely. Well, they'll know. It's not just, digital IDs is a whole different ballgame, because the idea of the digital ID is simply that the government would like to be able to, they say, for your convenience, you can sign into any department, the NHS, your council tax, your road tax, any department of the government, very easily with your digital ID. So you have one number, presumably.
And the one file across all
one file and everything. And you think, yeah, no, that's great. Except, of course, it means they're going to collect all this data about you, so they'll know pretty much everything, because they'll know all about your car details and every car you've ever had, your medical records and all the problems you may have had, that your council tax, whether you've had arrears or anything like that, your inland revenue status, and all of that information. Now, anybody logging in who works for the government at any time can access your file, because it's all in the same file. But not only that, the government frequently use third-party companies, like Serco, to do a number of things, so they can look you up and know all about you. Right. Whereas at the moment, you just have to deal with that one department and say, I want to change my booking for my operation on my eye or whatever it is, and they only need 2 bits of identification, and that's it, or your national health number or hospital number or whatever it is. They haven't got access to everything about you. Worse will be the point when you need your digital ID to do more than just that, perhaps to log on to the internet. And then it's potentially that there can be a social credit value given to your number. So
Right.
if you've posted on Facebook something the government deems is unfavourable, they may lock you out of certain services.
Right. Okay.
So having more anonymity is clearly better for
See,
you.
now, when I was 18, I thought that your national insurance number was
Right.
that you were given the national insurance number and that there was a file kept somewhere.
Well, yes.
But I've discovered throughout the years that departments don't speak to each other.
Well, when you
And-
were 18, they didn't have the internet,
Yeah.
and so all this stuff was kept in an analogue form rather than a digital form, which now makes that so much easier to transfer the data.
Well, I might not be able to vote in the next election
No, well, I won't be.
because I haven't got a valid passport.
No.
So for me to update my valid passport, to do it via the computer, I need a valid driving license.
With a picture
Yeah, to verify.
Yes.
But I haven't got a valid driving license.
to get the
Yeah.
yeah. So you catch-22.
So I then thought I will do my driving license. What do I need? A valid passport. So I could go and get. I think there's this new card that they're going to bring in, but I thought I can't be bothered.
No.
So the next election could be the first time that I don't actually bother to vote.
No. Well, it doesn't seem to be a lot of difference between any of the parties anyway.
Because they all
these days.
see, they all seem the same. That's why I think it's quite attractive just to go and live in the woods.
Absolutely.
with a fast internet speed.
I think the only way out of the issues of the day at the moment is to try and return to many more of the analogue ways of doing things. Because although digital is extremely convenient, and I love it because I make videos like you and we're filming, and it's very easy to swap the files and all of that, there's those elements that are good. But there are also, on the flip side, a lot of elements which controlling governments, and we've seen how controlling it has been over the last few years with various events that have happened, how much information can be used against you, not least when it comes to money, where if you're using cash, it's a private transaction. I can give you a tenner, you can give me a camera. You might want a bit more than that, who knows. But if everything that you do, you want to be able to give your child, say, sixpence for the tooth fairy, you'd have to do that on a central bank digital currency. They would know how much money you've given to your child for your teeth.
Right.
And that seems to me overreach.
And I've had a situation recently where somebody put too many zeros into the computer
Oh, nice.
and a big chunk of cash just disappeared, and then takes me 3.5 weeks to get it back.
Oh, sorry, when you said they put too many zeros, they put too many zeros out of your account.
Yes, yeah.
Not into
No,
it.
no.
It never works that way round,
No.
does it?
I was paying for something, and I forget what it was now, but say it was like £23. But 2,300 went.
Oh, right, yes.
And then you've got to wait 3.5 weeks to
Yes,
get it,
and
get
it's
it
their
back.
fault.
Whereas it's quick enough to take, so why is it not quick enough to... But going back to the 50-minute cities, are there any trials going on in the country?
Yes. In Oxford, there's got a trial. In Canterbury,
Right.
they're trying to bring one into Thetford in Norfolk, although the people of Thetford have been protesting against this and have gone up against the council. I've been following that on my channel. And you'll find that there are clearly people who want this as well. You've got people who are saying, oh, but it's a great idea. They don't really understand the nefarious side of it, because this is just one part of a much bigger plan, which we won't get into. But so in Oxford, there are these massive, great big plant pots that block the road, which makes it very difficult now for ambulances, fire brigade to come in. You only need one car to be trying to get through there, and ambulances and fire brigades trying to get to another house. You're going to end up with congestion, and people are going to suffer.
Well, the situation, the area that I live in, they put plant pots out during the event a few years ago, and it's only recently people have started asking, why are they still there?
Yes.
And in fact, a lot of them have been pushed to the side, because there was an incident where an ambulance went down the street, needed to get to this house, but had to drive all the way around.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
But nobody's questioning why
Why are they still there?
why the measure's still there.
Yeah. People should pick them up and dispose of them.
It does feel a bit like the thing that really annoys me, because I worked in the media, are people that read the headlines but don't read the story.
Yes. And the headlines are there to sell.
And the headline is here, everything you want in one street,
Yes.
which sounds fantastic, but
Yes.
there's always a different side.
Oh, very much. But
Different side to
this is the trouble is as I say, it's a lot more nefarious than people think. And of course, they're going to tell you all the advantages, and you need to look for, well, okay, that's fine, but where are the disadvantages?
It's a big subject to get into.
It is.
And how many videos have you got?
Oh,
Thousands.
thousands
So
of it.
I will put a link to Richard's channel below. This is a journey that I'm going back on because
It's going to affect us all. That's the thing.
what's the term? Being awake.
Being awake.
Well, I was involved with something about 10 or 12 years ago, which is a whole video by itself. And I found you can go too far down the rabbit hole, where you get to a point where you just don't believe anything.
You become very sceptical to everything.
So now I am half awake and I'm half asleep on purpose, just for my own sanity.
Yes,
And that's what being in the garden is quite good. You just get away from it all.
absolutely. Well, this is it. If you get rid of your television and turn off the radio, all these problems almost disappear.
I keep on getting emails at the moment going, you haven't paid your TV license, so we're coming to take your TV. And I'm going, you can come, because I haven't had a TV for 5 years.
Yeah, it's not even your TV,
No,
is it?
no, it's not.
So there we are, yes.
Anyway, I'll put all the links in the description below, and I'll catch up with you very soon.